everybody. Welcome to this brand new installment of the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community, where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. I'm your host, Nick Comstock. You guys, thank you so much for joining me on today's episode. I am so glad to have you here on this Tuesday. Before we get into today's show, I have some show notes as usual. You guys should be aware by now that I came out with a book with 11 other great people called Trailblazing and Transforming: Entrepreneurial Stories of Those with Disabilities. I am chapter 5, Breaking the Mold, because I break things like walls, doors, those type of things, normal people in wheelchair type stuff. So that is why my chapter is called Breaking the Mold. No, that's not really why. It's just I change lives, I think, in my opinion. So be sure to get the book. You can get it on Kindle or you can get it in paperback. And you do not need a Kindle device to download this book. All you need to do is download the Kindle app on your phone, and you can look up the title, Trailblazing and Transforming: Entrepreneurial Stories of People with Disabilities. So check that out and give it a read. I think it's a great book. We're great people, so support us. Also, you guys, as you know, I've had my GoFundMe in my show notes for a while now, and my podcast for this last month has been paid for thanks to people like you. So please continue to donate. We got a total of $790 just within the last few days, so I really appreciate it. My GoFundMe link is in the show notes, so please continue to donate, continue to share it, and don't forget to give us a 5-star rating also on your podcast listening platforms, which for us is Apple and Spotify. Now that we've got that out of the way, I'm really excited to do today's show because we have a great show, and I have a great guest as always. So this guy is a friend of mine. He's been here before. Okay, I'm stopping. When are you hijacking?
Well, let's just do it now. We're hijacking Nick's show. Hi, this is Kyle Goodknight, his producer, and Nick wanted to do something super special, and we talked about the 50th show, and he wanted me to come on as his guest. And I said, no, Nick. It's your 50th episode. We need you to be the guest. So Nick is the guest on his own podcast, and I'm taking over his podcast, and we'll throw it back to him at the end. So because I want everybody to know what special Nick is, not only to me as a friend, because you have become a friend. I know we started off as client and user interface, but we have definitely become friends. We've met each other in person several times, and we'll plan on doing it more often. We happen to live in the same town, which is great because I can get to know him so much better and really help him through this process. But like I said, I'm hijacking his show, so I'm now the host. And Nick is the guest of his own 50th episode. Nick,
Yes.
50th episode, 50th. Can you imagine? I mean, when we started this almost a year ago with the talking about this and the process of it, I think you and I were having our conversation about this show. And I believe it was was it July or something like that when we first talked? And then it took a few months to get it into the podcasting mindset and actually pull the trigger. When was it that we first talked? I think we first talked also about voiceover acting. That's what you first got a hold of me through a mutual friend because of my voiceover acting side of my world, right? When was that?
Well, no, I first got a hold of you through something called Career Discovery.
Sure, yeah, but when was that, Nick?
We had to delay getting together because I broke my foot.
That's right,
So
yeah.
I think because I broke my foot in March of 2024, and we were supposed to meet the week that I broke my foot, but I broke my foot. So we had to delay it, I think, until May.
Yeah. So we're talking May. So yeah, so we've known each other for a little over a year actually now, but have been working hand in hand with his podcast. Like I said before, I'm Nick's podcast coach, strategist, producer. He does a great job, listening and following the proven strategies of my podcasting philosophy. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about today, Nick. I want to make sure that everybody listening understands the power and what you've been able to do with your podcast, not only for yourself, but for those that are listening and for those who you had on. So real quick, I want to make sure that I ask you whatever gave you the feeling of wanting it. I know you had a TikTok page, which is, a little miniature 3-minute podcast, if you will. And I know you had very good success, but what made you want to expand into true podcasting and have this interview platform?
Well, people have told me for the past few years, Kyle, that I've been on TikTok. Have you ever considered doing a podcast? And my answer always was, I would love to, but I just didn't have the capability to,
Gotcha.
and I would say to them, well, to me, this is my podcast, because at the time I would
Sure.
come to people on TikTok 3 times a day, 7 days a week.
That's some pretty good, content creation. I mean, you don't do that with your podcast, but I feel that your podcast gives a better, the whole podcast concept overall gives a better understanding of what ultimately you want to do by public speaking and get hired for public speaking, for, hopefully TV gigs and movie gigs. I mean, we know your goals.
Yes. Yeah. So, I would love to eventually do an actual show every day, but I don't see it happening for the podcast realm, at least right now.
Well, it's not unfeasible, Nick. Don't ever, just put it out there. That's what we've done from the beginning, is we've just believed it into existence, because you only need to get a couple of more, a couple of more successes under your belt where you could get the ability to have a full-time, someone that would help you on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying? So, it's not out of the realm once you start getting these tractions. And let's just talk about that for a minute, because I am super freaking proud of you, buddy. I am super proud of you. I'm proud of us. Honestly, I'm proud of us. I mean, I'm not going to leave myself out of this, because, I'm not trying to be boisterous or anything, but we have built this podcast together. I do all the back end stuff. You do all the front end stuff. We guide each other. You give me suggestions. I give you suggestions. We are a great team. But I really want to make sure that people understand what the process has been. So the process has been basically getting Nick to have people on his podcast. Don't get me wrong, he's a great monologue podcaster, has great topics, and they're all very good. Go back and listen to every single episode if you haven't. But when he brings people on, that's when he shines. I have had people text me, because once in a while I'll line up guests for you, and I have people texting me or emailing me later and saying how awesome of an interviewer you are. So I just want to praise you and give you more claps about how incredible you are as a host, and what it's been like for you to have these guests on, and what are the relationships that you've been building.
Well, I tell you, you're not the only one that has said, Nick, you're a great interviewer, and it means a lot coming from you, because you're my producer. You help me host this thing every week. Not host it, but
I know what you mean. For back of better terms, yeah.
If I didn't have you, it wouldn't get on the air every week. So, you help me do this, and so to hear you say, Nick, you're an awesome interview, you do a great job. And I honestly got to the point where I was done doing monologues, because I don't want to hear myself talk.
I get that. I think I've maybe done 2 monologues myself, maybe 2 or 3 at the most. Yeah. So real quick, one of the things you shared with me, and I want you to share this story. So tell me, I know that we have a really good story to tell about an office visit that you had really recently. But before we talk about that story, can you share with us, everybody that's listening, and repeat to me about the speaking opportunities that you have come across ever since, I guess, Synergy last year? That was the first one, and I drove up there to be with you and help you get recorded and listen to you talk to the masses up there. Synergy, if nobody knows what that is it's a conference up in North Ohio. all for the different disability aspects around Ohio. So that was the first time I've seen Nick speak, Nick Speaks podcast. But tell us about other opportunities you've got since then, and where that's going, and what you're going to be doing next.
Oh, yeah, Synergy really, was great. And I got to be on that panel, and then continuing to be on other podcasts. I just filmed one that was out on July 22nd called Mega Maniacs. If you have not seen that, I would encourage you to go check that podcast out, because that actually talks about some not really good church experience that I've had as far as being disabled and stuff like that. And it's the main reason why I did it is, my tagline is speak up, speak out, and speak loud. And I felt that if I didn't do it with this particular podcaster, I was not being true to my tagline. So that's the main reason why I did that. So I've had other opportunities to be on other podcasts, not only Mega Maniacs, but The Inclusive Dad with Aaron DeBreeze, who's also been on this program. I've been on, I think this podcast was way before I started my podcast, but I was on a podcast called Spastic Chatter with Whitney. I don't remember her last name, but and so now we're getting to the point where in June of last year, not last year, in June of this year, I spoke at the Innovation Series and how assistive technology has really helped me with my life. And I really plugged the podcast there. And because of that speaking event, I have another one coming up on October 17th with one of the largest home healthcare companies in the state of Ohio, ViaQuest. I'm going to speak in front of their leadership. They're having a kind of like a build leadership day. And so I'm going to get to speak in front of their leadership and share my experience. I just had lunch with the guy last week. And so that's going to be on October 17th. And so I'm really excited about that. Got to do some final things, and the best thing in the world is it's both engagements have been paid engagements, which is
there. It is. I was waiting for you to say that, because that's
so,
what I was trying to get to, is the fact that you are now a professional speaker because of this podcast.
yeah.
We all know that you're a great speaker. You're a great host. Everybody who watches this or listens to this on a weekly basis, which will lead me to my next story that I want you to share, and I'll ask you about. But for you to actually, for people to be able to find you on your podcast, see that you have proof in the pudding, and then now you're going out in public doing speeches and getting paid for it. That's exactly what you and I talked about when we first started this about a year ago. Takes time, do take time, but the podcast is monetized now. We still may not have thousands of downloads and listeners or millions of downloads and listeners yet, but that's the long game of podcasting. We're talking about the short game of podcasting, which you are knocking it out of the park, buddy. You're creating great content. You're creating memorable moments, and people comment on your Facebook pages that have been on your show. They tune in. Their people will watch it. Your people will watch it. It just organically will grow that way. And it's just so amazing to see you grow and get these opportunities. And I'm telling you what, Nick, right now, I just want to thank you from the bottom of my heart about the times when you call me and you share another success story with me. That as a friend, it makes me feel needed and loved, and as a producer, it's just proof that everything that I said would come true is now coming true. And it's just and this may sound like a rah-rah for Nick and a rah-rah for Kyle here on this podcast, but this is episode 50. Most podcasts don't get past episode 10. Do you guys realize this? Most podcasts, they give up by episode 10, 20. It's like the other half. I mean, it's like 1%ers that make it past 20, right? And we're at 50, and only going to be keep on going, because everything that you want to do is now coming to fruition. And the podcast is the glue that holds all that together.
Yeah, it is. And I forgot to tell you too. Well, I didn't forget to tell you. I just forgot to tell everybody else. You already know.
That's okay.
I had another large company that I did something for back in April,
Okay.
also paid for. I did a video for them, which I
Yeah.
about. And so, listen, I mean, everything you said has come to fruition, and so much so that I had a friend who reached out to me and said, I want to start doing podcasts, but I have no idea where to get started. I gave them your name, and now they have a podcast that's coming.
Yep. Yep. I spoke with her a couple times today. We've got a meeting later on tonight, and we set up all of her stuff today, and she's launching it and telling all of her staff members tonight, like in a meeting. And I know you said Tuesday earlier, but little smoke and mirror production, y'all. We're recording this on a Sunday night, but it's going to go live on Tuesdays.
Yes.
Eventually we'll get to live episodes. Nick and I have talked a lot about that, but that takes that next level of availability for someone to be there to produce and help him with that. But yeah, I thank you so much for introducing me to her, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome. She's a rock star, and
she's amazing. Straight up, just like, once again, it's one of those people that you meet that you're like, okay, we're client and service, and she's my client and I provide her a service. But on the other hand, like, we have already been in contact with other, like you and I are, like, above and beyond anything podcasting, to support one another, to praise one another, to be there. Like, just today I shared a win with her because she shared a win with me the other day. She's like, can I tell you about a win I just had? And I'm like, absolutely. And it was like, she called me and said, can I share a win with you? And I'm like, 100%. You know me, I'm an open book. You're an open book. We're both very open people, and inviting with anybody that have like minds like we do. And she shared that win. And I was like, and then I shared a win with her today. And I'm like, hey, if we're gonna start sharing wins back and forth, like, you share with me, I share wins with you, I share down times with you. We both have gone. I mean, you've been in the hospital before, and you've been able to, share those times with me, and I've been able to support you in that, in prayer and in thought and suggestions, just because of my medical background. I mean, this ultimately goes beyond, a client's and service orientation. When you get involved with podcasting, you build a team and a network that is so close. And remember, people like to do things. People like to buy from. People like to hire people who they know, like, and trust. And podcasting, Nick, what does it do for you?
It's broadened my community like never.
Yes. We've had people from other countries talk to Nick. We've had people from other parts of the country, our country, talk to Nick. He spoke to more people than have been. Now take this, guys. Listen to this. Nick has actually had pre-calls and spoke with more people than he's actually had on his podcast. Some people, either timing wise or their schedule, it doesn't work out, but he always has that pre-call. That pre-call is that first step of getting to know someone and having that first touch to build that relationship. And I mean, how many people do you think you've talked to above and beyond who you've had on the podcast?
Oh gosh, I can't tell you. I mean, I have a recording tomorrow, and then I have another podcast pre-call at 7:30 p.m. And then, it just goes on and on.
Yep.
So, and I'm starting, because I've talked to you and I've said, Kyle, I'm going to start getting people to help me, to book guests, because I'm starting to get to the point where I'm overwhelmed, but I'm still managing it, and
Sure.
we're still doing well. And so for those of you that are like, oh, I would be good at booking, hey, reach out to me. I'll be honest with you, I can't pay you right now, but we are building a brand here at Nick Speaks, and it is on the verge of exploding, which I am so excited about. And I want to tell that story now. Can we tell?
I know. That's like, I want it to be I want it to be that teaser that we tease all episode, right? And we finally tell it. So here it is.
Geez,
so
okay.
let me tell you my side of it, and then I'll let you share the whole thing. So Nick calls me up. No, I think you sent me a text. You said, I need to talk to you. Something super awesome happened today. And I'm like, okay. And so,
because you kept putting me off, and
I didn't know. You remember, I'm a very busy person. I don't put you off ever. There is.
Yes.
See,
that
this
was
is the kind of
awesome.
relationship we have. He can razz me a little bit, but then I can razz him a little bit.
Okay, go on.
Well, it just a little side note for that, and for people to understand the relationship that Nick and I have now, it was one of those things. I'm like, what are you, blind, man? Why can't, I've talked to him about that before, knowing that he is blind, well, legally blind. And he's like, of course. And then he'll be like, well, I'm blind, right?
Yes.
We've had so many, I mean, I don't want to say laughs, but we keep it real. We understand that what we have is something that is in my opinion going to be a lifelong friendship. I don't see why it wouldn't be, whether this goes on for another 50 episodes or 250 or 550, it doesn't matter, or if it goes on for one more, it doesn't matter. Nick and I will be friends throughout. But yeah, so he sends me a text. I did not put you off.
You did not.
So when I finally get back to him, because I didn't want to, I think I did tell you, don't tell me through text. I think I did say that.
Yes.
Because I'm like, no, I want to hear the good stuff. I want to hear the good stuff in person. So we touch base, and I think I'm out on my back patio, just enjoying the evening with my dogs. And Nick tells me this story about him going to, was it a doctor's office visit or some sort of visit for your
okay.
chair, your wheelchair, right? Yeah.
Have to give everybody a shout out in this, so I have to say it right. So it was the wheelchair clinic. We have a wheelchair clinic here in Columbus, Ohio at Ohio State University. So hello to everybody at Assistive Technology and
Whoop, whoop.
my therapist Heather and my wheelchair guy Ryan, who helps out. Who, by the way, Ryan is coming on the show in the fall.
Nice.
It's on the podcast, so now you can't
back out.
Brian. So there's a wheelchair clinic, and everybody that's in wheelchairs, at least down in Columbus, goes there several times a week to get parts put on their wheelchair. Or there's a driving school, which I've been told I need to take, but whatever. And I'm getting this part put on my chair, and one of the other therapists comes up to me and says, excuse me, Nick, do you have a podcast? And I said, well, yes, I do. And because one of the things that will make you a good podcaster is if you network all the time. So, and I network all the time. So everybody there knows that I have a podcast. So she comes up to me, she asked if I have a podcast. And I said, well, yes, I do. And she said, well, one of my patients in the next room recognizes your voice from the podcast. And I'm going, oh my God. I could have jumped out of my skin. I mean, I can't jump normally, but I really wanted to jump out of my skin because I was like, oh my God, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So, turns out.
First organic fan. Yes.
Yes, turns out I go in the next room, and it was the lady that I was actually sitting next to in the waiting room.
Okay.
We had already, exchanged, like, hi, how are you? What's going on today? And she was actually there with her mom, getting her mom's chair worked on or what have you. And she said, my name is Jade. So hello, Jade. She said, work at the Drug Mart in Ontario, Ohio, which is about an hour. What is that, about an hour?
I'm not sure exactly where Ontario is. I just know it's north, so it's probably halfway between here and north. Yeah. Is Ontario close to Cleveland area? Most likely. Yeah.
It's close to because Mansfield.
If only I had an internet with like a computer right here in front of me, I could find out exactly where it was. Go ahead.
Well, I know where Ontario is. It's not too far from where my parents lived or my grandparents, because it's in the Mansfield, Shelby area.
It's actually, yeah. So it's actually between Columbus and Cleveland. It's about halfway.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Jade told me, she goes, I work at the Drug Mart there in Ontario, and the entire pharmacy staff listen to your podcast every week. Now, I don't know why the entire pharmacy staff would want to listen to a podcast about.
What does it matter? Let people listen, man. entire pharmacy staff listens to your podcast, and that's amazing. That's just oh my God, it gets me emotional. I love it.
Oh, Brian, who runs the pharmacy over there. Hello, Brian.
Hi, Brian. We're gonna have you on too, by the way. We've already talked about it.
Yeah. So Jade and I took a picture there at the wheelchair clinic, and I believe now I'm not sure.
You have that picture?
I don't. She never
sent it to you because I was like, oh, I could put that up. I could put that up through with editing.
No, she never sent it to me. So Jade, if you're listening to this podcast and you can send me the picture, I would love to have it. So then she told me, she goes, well, that's my last week at the Ontario Pharmacy and Drug Mart. And then I'm coming down to the James Cancer Center, which is another wonderful hospital here, because she's going to work there. And she told me, now I don't know if we have more than one children's hospital, but she also told me that the staff at a children's hospital, I'm assuming it's nationwide, because
there's several very good children's hospitals in Ohio. There, Akron has a fantastic children's hospital. Yeah, Akron, Cincinnati, Columbus, Cleveland even has a great children's hospital. But I don't know if Toledo has one, but yeah, those are the four big ones in Ohio. Yeah, so it could be anyway. Either way, it's still children's hospitals are never small; they're big.
Yeah. So thank you to the Children's Hospital, whichever one is listening, the staff there. Thank you. Thank you to the Drug Mart pharmacy staff and Brian for listening. I want some candy out of your pharmacy, because pharmacies have the best candy for some reason.
They even have dog treats. My pharmacy will give dog treats if they got the dogs with me.
I need dog treats, but I do.
Why don't you? That's a question I have. Why don't you? Have you ever thought about having a canine companion?
I would love to. I really would, but a lot of, I want to. I really do. I don't know if where I'm at right now will let me. I think anybody will if it's a service dog.
Sure. Yeah, that's the law, actually, by the way.
But a lot of my staff, 100% of my staff are from another country, and they've told me, if you have a dog, I will quit.
Really? Wow. Yeah. Wow, not dog fans, huh? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, I didn't mean to disrail the story about the first organic meeting with all the and then finding out. So what's just real quick, let me interject with really the breadth of how big this is, guys. And for those of you listening, how big of a deal this is. So one organic fan that recognized Nick's voice. How many other people out there in the world that would recognize, any of the podcasts you listen to voice? Everybody would.
My voice, Kyle, not just my voice.
Okay.
My giggle.
With the giggle, the specific giggle in it. Okay, that makes sense.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, there's the biggest sense. We have 5 senses, of course, and the biggest one ear sound is the second biggest. You know what the first biggest one that will bring back the most memories and recall? What scent is that? Do you know? I do. I'm just asking. No, not taste. Close, because taste and smell are very close. Smell is the one that will bring back the most memories. And typically it'll bring back, like, I'll walk by somebody and I'm like, oh, that's a perfume that somebody wore back when I was in high school. I know that person. I knew that smell. That was obsession, or whatever. Like, and it goes with, if anything, if you've ever had like rubber burn on your wheelchair and something happened during that time, you smell that again, you'll remember that time like that. Now, ear, hearing something auditorily, that is the second closest one, and sight is up there too. Like sound and sight are very close, but smell is number one. But still, having someone hear your giggle and recognize you and want to meet you and get a picture with the fan. Next time, there will be a next time. Just make sure that you get your picture on your phone too, so you don't have to rely on someone else getting it back to you.
Or email me right away. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, send that. Let's touch our phone so that it goes or airdrop it to me or what have you. So with that being said, when it comes to what you're planning on doing for the next 50, like, where do you want to take this, Nick? What other kinds of places do you want to make sure gets to hear the podcast, and what's your goals? Because that's something I don't think you and I have talked about too much recently, is about, okay, we've been talking a lot about goals in the first, how many ever it would take to get there. Now we're getting there. You're getting success. You're getting invited to be having paid speaking gigs. You're meeting fans. What's your next goal that you want to throw out to the universe and let it happen?
Well, my next goal would, to be honestly, be something that I think we could do. It just has to be worked out. Well, I know we could do, because we can do anything. Because most of the stuff that I've been told I couldn't do, in fact, all of it, I'm doing it. So
That's right. That's right. And that's when I tell people your story, when I share people about your podcast and you, I say he was told his whole life that he'd never amount to anything. And look at us now. Look at him now.
Yes. True. So I would like to, do in-person interviews, not on the other side of the screen. I know that would require you to be on hand a little more, but once we grow, maybe we can get, an associate producer or a field producer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and with that too, one of the things, and just now, this is just Nick and I, this is what we do. We brainstorm all the time, and you guys are going to witness it right now. I have a lot of creativity in a lot of different areas of podcasting and digital stuff, and get it done. I don't walk into a room and think that things are going to go bad. I figure out, okay, what's going to be great about this room, and how am I going to influence and help people through their day walking into that room. That's just my philosophy, and that's what I do. And I believe Nick is the same way. He rolls into rooms. He rolls into rooms and says, this is, what am I going to conquer today in this room that I've never been in before? And the office, the wheelchair office, was exactly one of those days, and it's proof. But I am now, and everything happens for a reason, Nick. And like I said, you guys are getting a witness of what the brainstorming sessions feel like with Nick and I through Sandy that you introduced me to. She wants to have her podcast in person, and I've only done in-person podcasts in my studio. So with her, I'm now with her, I am going to be working through the kinks to make sure we do something that is simple and easy to reproduce. So with that being said, I actually have the little device that I am going to start practicing with to get Sandy's in-person podcast. So once I have that down, we're going to be doing it. We'll be able to do it with yours, whether I'm there or not. It's a very simple setup. It's something that I'm excited to get set up for her. And once we have it set up for her, the sky's the limit when it comes to you. Even now, and I'm just thinking that off this top of my head, having a space that you could get to, because you have a service that now drives you to places, how can we collaborate with Sandy to use her studio as your studio too, when you want to do in-persons? So I'm just throwing that out to the ether. I'm just speaking it into existence. Not sure what that looks like yet. Not sure how it was going to happen. Not sure if Sandy would even want that to happen. I don't know why she wouldn't. She's amazing. But nonetheless, it's one of those things where I just think we just created a podcast consortium just now.
Yes. And we are building. My dream really is, the big dream is to build my own production company. And that's always been in the back of my mind. I told you that when we first met. And so this is the beginning. You guys are here on the ground seeing this form. And I want to reiterate, the reason why I had to do this is because the agency that helps people like myself get jobs that are disabled, I've had many of them, not just in the state of Ohio, but in another state, tell me, Nick, quote, "We see nothing you can offer an employer." So now I've had to take this by the horns and say, okay, well, I'm going to prove you wrong. And it's been a tough mountain to climb, verbally speaking.
Right.
But it's working, and it's starting to come to a head, and I could not be more grateful. I mean, you talk about what are some of the things that have happened to me. Mm-hmm. Guests that have been on this podcast, one has been on their second time, and the two guests are actually related. Philip Bramwell and his mom
Great episodes. Go listen to them, guys. Great episodes.
His mom has been on this podcast and will soon be on this podcast again. And they both have become like family to me.
That's awesome.
Just before I came on air, Phil was texting me about something. Always talking. And if you guys have not heard of Phil, go follow him.
He's funny.
Platforms. Wheelchair Philip. You will laugh.
Yeah, he's got a great stand-up. He really does.
If you're in the Tempe, Arizona area, I'm telling you, and you find out that Phil is going to be in your area, go see him. Go invest in Phil, because I guarantee you'll laugh and you'll have a good time. But so, I've had great relationships. And you asked me, what are some of the things that I want to do for the next 50? I want to get senators on here. I want to get congressmen on here. I think President Trump would be a little far-fetched, but hey.
I hear Kamala's doing things too. She wants to be on all the circuits, so you can have her on.
If I could listen to her cackle for 40 minutes. Maybe.
Well, people recognize her cackle too, so don't you people recognize your cackle. Nick.
Here's the thing. Phil and I talk about this all the time because we have the same identical giggle.
And you guys have the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Sense of humor. That's one thing that you and I learned very quick about one another is, me being in the healthcare field, you get a weird twisted sense of humor. And you have a weird twisted sense of humor too, as well, that people, when they get to know you, that they understand it comes from a place of love, but it's there, which is awesome.
Well, really, I tell people all the time, my humor has been my coping mechanism. And it's
I bet. I can't imagine all the things that people have told you can't do. And you're mentally, physically, or mentally capable of doing it, just maybe a little less physically capable. And it's just ridiculous that someone won't see the power of the mind and what you can give to this world through that and just write you off because the physical side of it may not be as strong. It's blasphemy. Taking matters in our own hands and creating this awesome platform for you.
Yeah, and Kyle, it's awesome. And honestly, at the end of this month, I will be taking my second on the road trip to go see family down in West Virginia. And it's all because I have great caregivers, a great team that doesn't say no. They say, let's figure it out. And if we can't figure it out, that's okay. We'll just move on to the same thing, to the next thing, not the same thing.
Well, here, let's do like this. Let's just talk about this last thing, because I think it's still a work in progress. I believe the last time we spoke, we're waiting for somebody to get back into town to have the next set of conversation. And actually, you and I and that person are going to have the conversation. But there's a great possibility that Nick is going to have a live podcast recording at Synergy this year, where we started it all last year. Remember, that was really early on in your podcasting platform. And I remember talking to you at Synergy saying, Nick, next year, we need to set your podcast up. And we spoke that into existence. And then the Synergy people reached out to you and said, hey, we'd like to have your podcast recording here so you can interview people that are on site, that are all these other people that have all these things. So we spoke it into existence, and now it's most likely going to happen as soon as we have this meeting with the gal from Synergy, and how we can figure out how to logistically get Nick up there for 3 days and have his caregiver be in a hotel room with them. I mean that's another thing. Have you been in hotel rooms with your caregivers yet? So that's a whole new thing that's got to be explored.
Yeah,
but it's going to happen. Because Nick and I do, we figure it out and we go after it.
Yeah, it's going to happen. And, honestly, we started this podcast back in August. And in December, you contacted me and said, Nick, I got you a spot in a book. And in May of this year, that book was out. It's the books that I've been promoting for the last several weeks. And so I'm telling you, if you're just saying, maybe I should start a podcast. Maybe I shouldn't start a podcast. Listen, take it from me, from somebody who's legally blind, who struggles to work a computer, who struggles to work his phone. I'm 50 episodes in today. I'm 50 episodes in. I've never missed a show.
That's right. That's
I've
right.
never missed a show.
Yep.
I got to tell you, right after I taped my first 3 episodes, I went into the hospital. But I didn't have to worry about it because I was already
Ahead. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
And then I was telling this guy was saying I was crazy. I was like, Kyle, let me tape in the hospital.
Yeah. And they struggle. I'm like, I'm not saying not to do it. It's just what's hospitals get really wiggy when people hit record in their facility. I take it. I have not had any issues. I've never done it, but I have been in the hospital setting before where someone in the early days of the internet and YouTube, I've been around hospitals that long, if anybody could even imagine that. Yeah, when I first started working in hospitals, YouTube wasn't even around yet, right? So I've been in medical for about 30 years, but somebody made a funny video and it was completely not approved by the hospital. And now it was workers. And this is the statute of limitations. I don't know. I don't even remember their name that did this. So I'm not throwing anybody under the bus or having, it's not HIPAA. It's not patient information, but what it was is they did this video. It was funny. I wasn't there when they taped it, but I did see it when someone showed it to me. And it was very funny and it was clever. And what a lot of people do now, but I'm sure that back then there was no rules or regulations behind it. So two people got in big trouble and one person got fired. But so that's when you're like, oh, I want to record in my hospital. And I'm like, hold on, let's talk about this for a second. Like, first of all, we got to get some permission. You got to figure out how to do it, how to make sure if you've got a roommate that they're not in it, because that's, something that could be very bad that they don't want to be videotaped, what have you. Hospitals, they just get a little wiggy when people hit record inside the hospitals, of course. But nonetheless, I mean, I don't ever want you to go. Hey, Nick, I don't ever want to see that. I don't ever want to try that because I don't want you ever going back to the hospital, buddy.
Yeah, I've had enough hospital trips.
Yeah, I don't want to ever do that. I don't want to have that conversation again because I just don't want you to be. I'm not happy when you're in the hospital. I'm not happy when any of my friends are feeling that are sick enough to be in a hospital. It's not fun for them. It's not fun for the people that know them.
And to be honest with you, I mean that podcast would probably be a train wreck.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, here, I've got a question for you. I don't think we've ever talked about this. And also, I always keep on saying it's the last question. But yeah, we'll get really close to that last question. Then we'll throw it back to Nick to do this normal closeout. But has anybody ever doubted you when you've mentioned to them that there is a podcast? Like maybe there's been more than one, but what is the most profound story that you're willing to share about someone who said maybe even doubted that you could even accomplish this or that people are doing what you say they're doing, like when it comes to my production services and stuff? Which one sticks out? If you're willing to talk about it, you may not want to throw that person under the bus.
I don't mind throwing people under the bus. I mean, what are they gonna do? Take away my birthday? I'm already in a wheelchair, for God's sakes. Jeez.
Take away your birthday?
Anyway, no, but like when you first approached me, Kyle, about, and you found out that I really, because everybody that we talked to before I found you said you need to do a podcast, everybody that we interviewed and went through. And so when I started talking to you and we started going through the pricing that you do, by the way, Kyle's pricing is tailored to, everybody. So depending on what you need, that's the price you're going to get. It's not one set price for those of you that are like, oh, no.
It's very affordable, very, very fair, very good value. I'll give you that.
So, a lot of people were saying things like, I would tell them how much I pay, which was a mistake. I don't do that anymore. And they would say, well, I think he's taking advantage of you.
People don't realize how much goes into all of this, and there's software involved. And yeah.
They would say, I think he's taking advantage of you. And I'd look at them at the time and I'd be like, yeah, but do you see a podcast episode every week?
Every week with shorts that are automatically put out to YouTube and that get hundreds of views and thousands of views.
Yeah, I do. I said, well, then how is he taking advantage of me?
I get a service.
For a service. And then the funniest thing is, Nick, I could do this for you for free.
Oh, I didn't know you get those.
Yeah.
Okay.
But here's...
You know how long that would last?
Oh, I already know. Because it's happened to me before.
Yeah. I've been the free podcasting guy and I won't do it anymore. It's because every time I've helped someone with a podcast for free with the knowledge that I have, it's never lasted past those 10 or 20 episodes, period. For whatever reason, some of it on me, some of it on them. It's just the priority, that priority isn't there. Hey, you're buying a service from me, so therefore I have to give you what you pay for. And if I don't do that, then I'm in breach of contract as a provider. And that's not something that I put my name behind.
And I really, it makes me marvel because, I was telling people, you're going to do a podcast. Just think about it. I've done 2 different YouTube channels on the same channel. I've just changed direction. I've done TikTok, although that was a booming success and still is, and so it's just like, really? Are you really going to do that? I mean, everybody. You think after almost 7 years of doing everything that I said I was going to do, people would start to not
believe in you, right? I believe in you, brother.
People would be like, "Oh, he's actually doing this."
Right. Well, we shouldn't doubt Nick anymore because he does what he does or says and says what he does. So, well, let's throw it back to you. I'm done hijacking your podcast, and I'm no longer the host. Let me throw that back to you, and you can close us out, and we'll get on with our evening, bud.
Yeah. So guys, this has been a wonderful 50th episode. I do want to say I don't normally plug my next episode because I usually don't know who it is and all that stuff. But next week, I have a phenomenal episode. It's going to be kind of unusual for what I've done. So you're going to want to tune in for that. And there's going to be a call to action that you don't want to miss, especially if you're in the state of Ohio. I want to say that. So tune in next week. You're not going to want to miss my guest. I don't want to tell you who it is because just in case we have to reschedule them. Make sure you tune in next week because regardless of if that special episode happens, there will be an episode no matter what. So just tune in. But this is the Nick Speaks podcast, the podcast dedicated to the disabled community where we speak up, speak out, and speak loud about the issues that matter to the disabled the most. Don't forget to do all the wonderful show notes that we talked about earlier, and I will see you again next week.